stress tolerance in research. He worked with controlled environmental facility Phytotron at IARI and PDFSR Modipuram, Meerut for organic farming and its impact on crop physiology. Dr. Sudhir currently working with Nanaji Deshmukh Plant Phenomics Center for drought tolerance in wheat in high throw output manner with the help of imaging sensors and artificial environmental condition for developing climate resilient varieties. Thrust area and research are deciphering physiological, biochemical, and molecular mechanism of abiotic stress tolerance and nutrient use efficiency of crop plants. Identification of donor mechanism and component traits for nutrient use efficiency and tolerance to drought and heat stress in rice wheat. Phenomics of moisture deficit, stress tolerance, and nitrogen use efficiency of rice and wheat. Phase 2, identification of superior donors and allele of spikelet fertility and low chalkiness under thermal stress in rice. Development of varietal and hybrid technology of pearl millet for higher yield and nutritional improvement. NAHEP Center for Advanced Agricultural Science and Technology on genomics assisted crop improvement and management. Dr. Kumar published more than 80 research papers, 6 books, and 2 manuals. Dr. Sudhir also organized several training workshops on image-based phenotyping for faculty members. Sir guided many MSc students associated with teaching of PG students for plant physiology courses and developed new courses on phenomics for PG students. Welcome you once again, sir. Now, dice is all yours, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for nice introduction. And I take this opportunity to talk a lot about how to improve our skills so that the information we want to disseminate amongst the readers can be reached in the way they want. One query I have that most of the faculty background, if I know, then I can go ahead with a slightly biased one then. Because they're from plant science, social science, so means it give me an edge so that I can start. So I will be happy if some answers come from which background my viewers or listeners are. So it will be good to me to start with.
So we have the participants from UG, PG background, research scholar, researchers, and from different disciplines also, sir.
Okay, fine. So I'm sharing my slides. Let me share. I request you to please allow me to share my slides.
Yeah, sure, sir.
I'm not able to share my slides.
Just give a moment, sir.
Okay, sure, please.
Sir, can you please check again to share? Hello? Sudhir sir?
Am I audible, sir? Hello? Sudhir, sir?
Hello, Sudhir sir. Is there any network problem?
Participants, please be patient. Very shortly, we are connecting with our speaker. Maybe there is a connection loss.
Okay, no problem.
Anil sir,
हाँ जी मैम।
sir,
सर
I
ज्वाइन
think.
कर हाँ सर ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, वो कोई नेटवर्क इशू आ रहा है IRI में।
हाँ जी सर.
कल से प्रॉब्लम चल रही है इंटरनेट की ICR में पूरे में, तो अभी वो दूसरे इंटरनेट से जुड़ रहे हैं।
Okay.
हाँ
Sir, can you once again try to share your screen?
Yeah, I'm trying because that time the system get hanged, and I hope now you could see my whole screen at your end.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It is properly
Yes, sir.
visible.
Okay. So very good evening to all of you, and for the day or for the evening, I will try to briefly talk about what is effective writing and how it can be done. And it's a dream for all the
say what we call as the field of researcher, where they want that how they can bring their uh, all the hard work with words and some figures, so everybody can read that one, and once they're able to understand that one, then the appreciation to come. So to do that, we require some kind of steps, some kind of informations, and I will try to share some my experiences and some my knowledge which I gained through so many experts around the globe. So I will try to talk a bit about how we can do that one. So for the day, for this talk, I will try to bring some information about how to write the papers more effectively. Then the second aspect, I'll try to cover the structure itself, how to plan our structure for any kind of article. Then we need to see what should the structure for the paragraph. Then and one aspect, first we go with the first draft, how we can polish and revise our work, what kind of language and what kind of words we need to use, so that more clarity can be come into that one and the readers can enjoy that one. And a few things, though once we reach at one stage only, then we can go forward this ethics of writing, and then how to get published. That when I will try to touch upon slightly in the last two topics, but my main focus will remain upon how to write good paper, or the word, if I bring to one word, is effective writing. So the first and foremost thing is that we need to be having a focus of the word called writing, because in everything for research itself, if I take one consideration, we can plan our experiment, we can take the observation. For instance, I come across with one message that they are extensions, so they can acquire data, what is happening, and then can bring that data into Excel. So up to this is fine. But when things come, these two things come into the picture, I required the same amount of dedication and approach for writing itself. So we need to give some specific time for writing. It's all depend upon you, what kind of time is suitable for you, where you are most active and you feel coolness, because that time you need to focus more to write whatever you bring in this Excel sheet or in the data form, maybe some kind of what we call as bar graphs, maybe some figures. So to explain that one, we need to give some additional time. And this kind of activity or this kind of approach, what we have, that we set a goal that every day I will write a chapter. That goal, I think in the last, when we reach, I will say that still, yeah, I can try it next week. So in that way, how many weeks pass? So we need to be very much focused that some additional time or some special time has to be specified for writing. Then second aspect, that the thumb rule, the first rule of writing is sit. And the second rule is that stay. It's not the case we sit for 5 minutes and then run away. Or stay, we need to stay for long. If these two things come into the picture, then we can think about the word writing, especially for research articles. So these things are the first and foremost thing for us to go forward in the research article writing, or any kind of writing. If I use the word, we need to sit and stay. Then nowadays we have a quite good phrase which is being available with everyone at their workplace. We use the term publish on Paris. Why to publish? Share the data, ideas, or the hard work we have done to collect all kind of data, or to get feedback on your ideas. That comes to peer review. And committing your work to paper forces you to think about your research in new way. So to do this, start to write, and you will find ideas occurring to you that had never surfaced before. One thing I can add here, if we did not start any writing schedule, so we always remain in a fear. We will start one day. So once we have this kind of things in our background or in my mind that I need to explain my data to the whole world, and that that data cannot be explained as simple table, I need to put some kind of explanation along with the data, and that need to be evaluated by the field expert or the domain expert. Then I can say my thought were up to the mark. So this kind of whole process, and this whole process reach only when we start writing. Whatever comes to our mind based on our work or data or ideas or insight, we need to write. The first and foremost thing, that there is no escaping. We have to sit and stay. And the most important aspect from this screen, I hope you are able to get, he is alone. So if any sideway persons or sideway community or sideway friends are there, obviously the whole objective of writing will be gone in vain. So we need to be alone, we need to sit, and we need to stay. And then we can go for publishing next. So this seems to be very simple from this few bullet points I explained, but it's not all that. So I will try to bring some ideas which I derived from one of the major say company or major professor in the field of plant biology, Professor Mary Williams. I derived some slides from her, and I also derived some ideas from her also and some other experts in this field, so that I can give you some more insight so that you can work upon and improve upon your writing skills. So the first thing is that how to prepare your manuscript. So I will try to give some idea how the writing has to be done, how to figure the preparations, and then this has to be done in the last. So our main effort is here only, and it is in a way that it's always hit us back. It's always hit us back. It's our what we call as strength. With what strength we try to force it away, and once the direction gets changed, it may give some kind of results in terms of papers. So once this part is completed, then we can focus on this. So I will try to mainly focus right now for this, how to prepare manuscript, what should be the idea, and how we should go forward with this one. So the first and foremost thing is that whatever manuscript we are preparing according to our mind, and we keep thinking that the way we are putting effort in our brain, the second person will give so much time like us. Whatever idea we have to communicate to him, it's good or bad, but especially it's good for us. So that has to be taken by the reviewer in the same way, but it's not the case always. Because it may be the case the reviewer may come in the night with a cup of juice or something, maybe in a different mood. He won't be so attentive as he was expected to be attentive for us. And then the second aspect, that these two eyes, what they are seeing, they are seeing that our paper in terms of good idea, it may be the case he might seeing that thing in black and white, or in this not the same spirit as the spirit we have write that article. So it is the one of the most common reason a paper is rejected, because the author did not sufficiently explain the significance of the work, and that has to be done in a way that if a person come after all that exhaustion in the day, in the evening he reach, still he get interest to read that one. Otherwise, a exhausted person, if find any kind of difficulty in understanding, you can understand that the paper won't be accepted for sure. I hope you are all with me. I hope you are all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So let's start with the first important thing, that before writing anything, we need to have something in our brain. So, and to that one, the most important aspect is that read more. As much, for instance, you are going for any topic, as much as you can read, only then you can write. For instance, I ask you, if I ask you to sit, or if I sit myself without prior information about my topic or about my research, hardly I can write few lines. And even I will struggle to write few lines, because whatever in our brain that's we acquired through reading can be converting into the keyboard. So that keyboard will work, and my fingers or your finger will work only when we acquired some information from the previous work done or what has been done. So it's always should be a habit that reading of journals is the key. And once we read these journals, it gives us idea of the structure of the paper, the format of the paper, and the language in which they have write. So it gives us idea. And one important aspect, if we read more journals and we have some data in our PC in terms of Excel, it gives us idea. It will begin to recognize that which journal has the scope of my work, what kind of focus that journal had. For instance, I have read 5 6 journals from some research papers, so I will be sure that about those 5 journals I can say what is the scope of the journal, what kind of paper is published. And these 3 important aspects also we come to know, that what kind of structure I need to frame for my paper, what kind of format I need to keep for the paper, and language, because language is the key which really explain our creativity to the reviewer, which understand. Simpler the language, easiest for the reviewer to understand, so chances of acceptance are more. Then a pre-writing work is one important aspect, that if we ask to go in a bunch of information and to find out, it's a like of needle in a say grass bunch something, if I have to search, it's a huge job. So when we have large data, we always remain confused from where I need to start. I should include the data in one paper or more papers. So when we start to identify the key message, that what is the key message my data is giving, my research is giving. So if I list, for instance, 5 key messages, I can say how much they are correlated and what are the data I have to support these 5 messages. So it may be the case I can focus 3 for one paper and 2 for other papers. So in that way, it's all depend upon the understanding of the data as the key messages which we can give to others, not because we can get these messages for us very easily, but we need to see our audience who will read these journals, read these papers. So are they useful for them in what aspects? So that has to be done to first to identify the key messages out of the whole data we have acquired. And then one important aspect, because if you see that what kind of work has done, for instance, I am taking this figure. If I take this figure, it's not a new figure I have prepared, but it shows that this black box work has already been done. And whatever work I have done, I have seen that how this calcium and this whole red path show that I have added this additional information what was known prior to the world. So these kind of highlighting efforts, uh, because one figure can give thousands of words, one picture contain large number of information. So to give that information in a more perfect way, what we have done here, these lines are red and the one which we acquire is red, rest is black. So it means it has been done in the past and we have added this additional pathway. The same way here, we have here given 2 different colors. So these are the additional information we have added. If I share this figure in a paper, so what it will be shown to the reviewer, that these are the additional work. Instantly he will see they have added, and ultimately it leads to high yield. So if I keep all the things in the same color, it will be very difficult for the reviewer to understand. So there should be a way to highlight that what additional we have done, means what are the key findings, because key findings are those which really attract the reviewer attention and which increase the chances of acceptance of our paper. Then the most important aspect, these dual funnel approach, and it's being used from so many years. Here we start broadly and end broadly. So when we go for introduction of any research paper, it's remain broad. For instance, if I start with wheat, so I will say wheat is a very essential crop. It feeds the world. So how much area is occupied? Then I will slightly come here. Then this funnel bottom will start. I will try to bring that heat affect the wheat, how much. Then I will say which variety is more heat tolerant, or how the heat get affected the plant yield. So in order to screen, I will come here in order to screen, in order to identify the best wheat genotype for heat. We have carried out this study. So I will start with wheat, then to heat, and then to yield. So we start with broadly, and here we reach what kind of methods we have used. It's not that all the methods of the world we have used. We have used that we have two plants. One is a control plant and one is the treatment one. And I have taken some kind of, say, parameters or traits, for instance, yield, height, leaf area. So this portion need to be very specific, which really answered my the query. And then once we reach here, then we start explaining first what we have done, what is the importance to the science world, and in the broader sense. Broader sense means for wheat, how this study will improve the understanding about the heat tolerance. I hope what I intend to say, you are all with me.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Then one important aspect is that if we take a paper as a whole, it's a huge information. So in a short way, what we can try, we can use some, if you go to any conference, they use some kind of posters. So what posters contain, or micro article contain? So what we have title here, what is the general problem, what is the specific problem, figures, legends. So these kind of things we can prepare. Based on this introduction, we can take three aspects. For instance, if I grow with the blue one, it's the general problem and what are the general benefits. So these are quite common things. When we go with the green one, they are slightly specific in terms of problem and in terms of benefits. And the last one, red one, are the unknown. Some part maybe that we have no information about that, and what we obtain is the new results which was not earlier given by anyone. So these kind of approach at one frame give us idea out of this whole information what we need to use for our paper. So what I mean, my means to say, when we bring our result in small form, so that it gives idea what should be my paragraph, I should approach to write my results. So all those things will come into the picture if we have a short information about the results which we want to explain through research paper. So here what we have done, we have bring down unknown specific, then the novelty one together. We have bring here the specific benefit with the general benefits, and the specific problem and general problem. So what it does, it gives a sense. It gives a sense that how should be the structure of my research paper. It gives some idea. Only it's a one-page diagram or one-page information, but still it gives us idea that where are the gaps which need to be filled and what should be the structure of the whole work which we are going to explain through the paper. And one important aspect, if you see this, it has, I think, one, two, three different kind of wood has been used, and synonymously, or we call as a homologosity. If I focus with that one, don't worry about the smoothing of your writing. The first and foremost thing I told, that if you able to do this or do this, so here what we have, it may be the case they might not match in that one, but once they come to the frame, it's up to the carpenter how to fit those actual frames on their proper locations. So for instance, we need to first start the first draft. As I told in the first slide, that the first and foremost thing, we need to give specific time for writing. Then the second, we need to sit and stay for that one. Then we need to plan our whole work with the small or a micro article. And once we have, the second important aspect is that need to be made into a frame. And here I am adding a few things, though I have taken this information from some other paper. So we keep writing every files with a different date here, so that, for instance, anything good get clicked and you lost that one, still you can reach for that one. So in the folder, for instance, I going with the research paper, say A, I will keep adding. On the 17th of December, I have added this. On the 18th, I have added this. After 24th, I recall that the first information I shared here was good. So I can take that information and can put it. I can say that some information was here. So the first draft and last draft can be made it when we keep trying to adding the information, because in one day it's not all that easy to bring the paper into shape. Then one more aspect, because if one has to write the whole paper, that's fine, but sometimes it's not the case that we divide our work with some partners or some co-authors, and then we take headings, subheadings, and we take out that you add this heading, you add this heading, and if we take out this heading separately, it's very difficult to add that one. So that kind of continuity has to be taken, that in the way I have split my paper, so there some kind of continuity should be there. So when we are going with the heading wise, then these subheading and paragraphs need to be specifically specified for all the authors which are writing, so that when we want to add the chain or we want to make a story out of that one, at that point of time, they look like to be a part of similar script, not that they are going to left, it's going to right. So that kind of thing will again start some kind of problem, because we need to come here. So that structure, the paragraph, subheadings, that need to be defined, but that with the separation of these to the co-authors need to be keeping in mind that we should working for one script. For instance, as we have seen that in a film, when we prepare, the script was written by too many persons, but when the script writer finally combined that one, he taken into consideration that there is always remain a sequence one after the other. Then it's also a way, I took this from Mary Williams' book. So what she has explained, for instance, it was written by three authors, and they have too many points. So if I taken into consideration this one, the slightly greener one, and this greener one, so we can highlight those parts. And once we highlight that part, the main important aspect, as I was explaining in the last slide, our focus was to make a story of the sequence. So that order has to be made, and how it can be done. The green part will be bring at one place, and this yellow and slightly yellow part and slightly greenish part will be taken into at what place. So it will bring some kind of sequence here. So it is also a way, it's up to you which way we want to go with this one, but still it's a way that you so many authors write as per their view, then one common person see all those things and then give them a ranking or plan which part explaining which things and which are the similar one, so they can bring those similar one at one place so that the sequence can be bring into one form. Then it's one more important aspect, because when we start writing, the real problem come some kind of creativity come from our inside. You might be astonished to know, for instance, if I am not writing, I have no idea what I'm writing. But if I start writing, I will expand my whole energy, whole intelligence, and so many idea will come. And those idea will be that one which never surfaced before. So you need to take those ideas and you need to see how useful for us. It's always there. You cannot ignore them, and you cannot add them as such. We need to evaluate them how they can be useful, but it will come only when we write. So one more important aspect we have, if I ask, or most of the persons, if they read any kind of article, it's always in F form or in E form. We will start from here and then come here, then we read again like this. Or some who are more interested to learn, they can go in E form. Those are not interested, they will only focus on F form, like this, and that's it. So each paragraph should have the first line should have some meaningful information, because if it's able to convey good information, only then it will again go to this one. So that has to be taken into care, that when we start a paragraph, that should start with the paragraph title and should give some meaningful information starting in the first line of the paragraph. Then the second aspect is that our what we call as language need to be plain. And plain word means, because as I told in this slide, our mind get open up when we start writing. We use slightly hard words, so many phrases, so many words we use, even which we never use in our simple writing. But when we start writing, so many novel ideas and words come. So what it causes, it make the language complicated. But as a researcher, we need to be focused that we should go with the plain language. And it's plain language like this. Metaphors not need to be used. Long words, only short words or short sentences need to be done or need to be made, so that understanding can increase. Then it's a quite contradictory one, because when we start to write anything passive, we are being asked that the passive voice should not be used. But here I will emphasize that as up to the extent you can able to write in the active voice is fine. But if the problem is still exists, that we cannot escape that one, still then we can go with passive. It says never use passive voice, but where there is no feasibility in terms of active voice, we can use this passive voice. Sorry. So in that way, our aim should be not to show our intelligence in English. It's not to show our words collection, vocabulary strength. It's that how easily in short sentences with simple words I can explain, or we can explain our work. And that, because if we put hard words, how many readers will be there? So for instance, hard words are there, almost 50% people won't understand. 5% or 10%, if they read, they will lose interest in half of the paper. And even out of that 100%, 5 or 6% only can able to read or understand that one. But our aim should be that our audience should be large enough. Try to cover 100%, because with the simple words, everybody will be able to get the information what you want to share through your research article. Then it's most important aspect that it's, if we go to a muddy field and some kind of say mixing is there, so you can see that at each step will be trapped. So if we writing in a flow where the things are not going the way we are expecting, so what we can do, we can use this small stones, though still mud is there, but we able to pass those. So try to use those. Think of your text as a series, not the case that which can be used. Though some breaks are there, but those breaks should not be reflected in the words, and still you can able to say that one. For instance, here is a, there are some enzymes, that we can write simply some enzymes. One approach is to identify the genes can be identified. The organization of the polymer organization, and for instance the cells of root cells. So try, though here what it does, it has a long path, fill of that one, every point you will find these kind of things. So try to use the text as a series of stepping stone that lead to the reader to your conclusion. Our objective that reader should not be in the mud, he can save himself and also can read our article. Then simple, it's always there, because these kind of words were so messy. If you ask to read within 2 minutes, you can lose the interest. Then what are the possible words? Because we are, as I told in one of the slides, that when we start writing, we become metaphoric. We get phrases that it cannot be done in the past, it has been done in the last 10 years. So at this point in time, now it's enough, due to the fact that, because so these kind of words, because as simple as we are keeping the things, it's always useful for the reader to have interest in that one, so he can at least go through the whole paper. So no later than 1 June. So for what? By 1 June, pertaining to, about. So these kind of word we can use in our scripts or some many scripts, so that still the what we call as readers can have interest, because we need to keep in mind always when we write any research article that what should be my audience, which will be benefited out of that one. So these are the way water is needed by the plant. Plant needs water. So these kind of things we need to take where there is no other possibility than the passive voice. We can go with that one, but try to be with active voice. Plant need water. We develop a model. A model was developed by we, like this. So for what we are writing that one, so we need to take care that we should be always focused with the active voice. Then some kind of mistakes we perform, though I took this information from here, that we perform an analysis on the data. Normalization, we analyze the data. So these kind of things, because we need to be very simple in writing what we want to convey. And as some example more, the movement in liquid media of the bacteria was accompanied by microflagella. Bacteria move themselves in the liquid media with. So what we call as this word accomplished, what it shows, it's of no use here. And it's slightly heavy word, so we need to use very simple words so that we can reach up to the audience. So these are few more examples. I have seen that plain language and again active voice is the one, because passive voice need to be avoided, and unnecessary information. Sometime when we write our material method, so we used to write like this: we take a test tube, we fill 10 ml of water, and then add 2 ml of water, distill water and heat up for 5 minutes on the burner, then I take to cold. So though that explaining our whole method, but the way we need to write, the 10 ml filled test tube was used for heating, and then it was cooled. So it's not that we are narrating the whole story in the way. We need to be slightly specific that how this whole method was carrying out, because the person who know how to heat up the things, that person will read your article because he is from your community. A science person can easily understand few things. It's not the case. I took this from the stand and put inside the heater, means these kind of words should be avoided. We need to be very specific that, for instance, you are working with, say, some kind of biochemical parameter, for instance sugar. So what we can do nowadays, sugar was estimated with the reference of such and such, so it is enough. And some people explain that I took 10 ml sample, then I add that one triglyceride, means so whole process, there is no need to put that one. And one more important aspect, when we writing in the method this, we also giving the references. So in that way, that thing will if anybody want to know more that one, he can consult that reference which is available with the paper. So in that way, it's always advisable that the plain language has to be used. Some examples are there. So at the end of every sentence, ask, is the point of this sentence completely clear or ambiguous? Because we need to ask this question to ourselves, not to the reviewer. Prior to sending that one, is the keyword that carries the theme at the front of the sentence. As I told that we can read in F or E form. So as per the F form, we will first read the first sentence. So does the keywords are placed here? And in every word, this sentence adding information, or can I express any phrase in a single word? As I told that in the last 2-3 slides back, I showed that we try to use small words, not the long and large sentences, or long means large phrases, which really take out the focus at different point. So these are the some ways where I took this information from one book. So people had write in a different way, and here there are ways we need to take that out of that one, how I need to place that in a sequence, so that that information can be in the way that one reader can understand that one. That thing need to be taken into consideration. So here they give the most important information here. So these kind of arrangement need to be taken. Whole paragraph is right for something, but the first line and especially last line need to be such that it can bring the gist of that whole paragraph. So unit of argument, these are the few things, slightly advanced one, but still once we reach at this stage, that whatever we want to say in our article, are we able to do that one? This question everyone should ask once he or she prepare the manuscript, that this says exactly what we want to say in the best way possible. After that manuscript, we read in the last. So we need to self-assess ourselves prior to any communication. And nowadays we are very happy because we don't have to write by hand or on a typewriter. Right now we have ample opportunity. What we can do, we can go to a PC and straight away we can type, and the kind of editing facility right now we have, they were not present earlier. So this is the edge we have, and we need to use this facility in a fast way so that we can improve our writing. Then once we reach at a stage that how should we write, how should we able to explain our data, the first and foremost thing come after that one, that we should focus on any kind of journals and see what are the requirements, what are the instructions for authors. So scope is there. Scope we can get if we keep reading papers. We can easily say, and we will land on the few journals. If we keep reading based on the scope, then we will see what are the requirement, and then how that article type would, so whole information will be there. Based on that, if we can pay the fee, we can go forward. Otherwise we can see those journals which are free of course, they are publishing the paper. So based on that we can start our say work where we need to send this article. And one more important aspect is that out of that one, first we see that aspect, then we need to go what kind of methods we need to show to that one. Some journals, they expect that you should write each information in reference mode, and some ask briefly. For instance, sugar was estimated with mean hiding method using spectrophotometer. Some ask that the sugar was estimated by, for instance, proline was estimated based on what we call as Bates method. So it's all depend upon the need of the journal, but no journal asks you to write the whole story, how that test tube was heated and how that whole was done. They want that it was a spectrophoto based method or it was a tritonic based method. So that kind of basic information they ask, and they also want that the what is your starting material and how the treatment was imposed, at what stage the readings was taken, what was the criteria to take on the reading. So these kind of information, so that if you recall this 12 funnel story, so here it's not broad anymore. So they will be specific to our experiment, how that experiment was carried out to give the inferences. Then some ethics of writing. It's always acknowledge the contribution of others and the source of ideas. For instance, I am giving this information to you, and at each step I am appreciating Mary Williams' Plant Physiology and some other books which I have used, I have taken into consideration in terms of acknowledgement through references. And we need to paraphrase or summarize. We must always identify the source of information. And some more thing, that the credit for which from them we borrow, whatever we have borrowed, we need to give them. Even we are doing paraphrasing for that one. If when in doubt about the concept, that kind, those citation has to provide. And nowadays copyright law is becoming so tight, so we need to be original in our work. We need to be original in our figure. We need to be original in our idea. Any copying can give a very adverse result to us. Then some more, that don't rely on secondary summary of that work. Always consult the primary literature. Nowadays, if fashion is there, what we do, if we want to write a paper, we simply go to a review. What he contain, he quote several authors, and what we try to do, we exclude them and we simply quote him, the person who has write the review. It's not the right way. We need to again consult those articles which was quoted by him, and the references or the citation has to be given for their original work, not for the review work. So in that way, we need to prepare our research paper. Then which journal we need to send, that has to be taken to co-authors. It's always good because a single person can think. For instance, he or she has read 5 papers, so he will focus only for 5. And if 4 co-authors are there, with maybe they might have read 20 journals, so they can, based on the consensus, they can decide the best journal where the scope and everything is lies as per the need of the publication of the research article. Then most important aspect, I'm not too sure what kind of reference software you use, because it's not the case. It's not the case that if I send this paper to plant cell, it will be accepted once, because it may be the case I need to send it back to, say, plant physiology. It may be the case I need to send it to front-end plant science. So in that way it may change. So the most important aspect, because reference management software, I'm not too sure which you are using, but Mendeley is free. Mendeley is one which is free, and then one is EndNote. EndNote is paid. So these reference software, if are being used at the time of paper writing, so it's very easy, for instance, to manage those references. So where we want to send those papers, which way we want to say, everyone has his own way. So this kind of information can to look for the references, because there are 2 aspects here. One aspect is that, for instance, how to get leaf into shape. For instance, I want to send a paper on leaf. I can see that this kind of paper was published in this one. Then when I will write this paper, I will see into that one what kind of reference mode I need to put. So in both aspects, we need to be careful if we are taking the selection of journal, what kind of reference method they have. So it will be always useful. And cross references. Cross references are always useful. They are also useful in 2 aspects. They give us idea where what kind of paper can be published. Even we don't read the paper, it give idea, but still these the cross references give us idea that what kind of paper are being published in the journals in the past. For instance, if we go to 2001, we can see the latest one. Yeah, for instance, here we see 2009 how it was. I can say 2011, the trend is slightly changed. So we can see, based on that one, we can plan our what kind of journal we need to choose, and that will give idea what kind of reference pattern we need to use for our paper. So so which journal need to be considered to send the paper is the impact factor is the most important. Then if we need to submit our PhD or MSc and want to do in a fast manner, we need to say how much time they will take for the first decision. If you see the journal page, they give that median time for first decision is 56 days. It means it's almost take 2 months. Those are saying 2 weeks, so at least they will give the first decision after 2 weeks. So it's also important when we want to see time-based publication. Then we need to see the cost of publication. It is free or paid. Open access option, if you want to spread or get more citation for your research, you need to see through open access. You need to pay that one, or it is in hybrid mode. It's all depend. And these things though some people consider, but in the early stage of the research, our focus always remain here. Editor, some editor name we might know, it may be the case we don't know, but still we can take this, but these are the secondary things in the initial research part. So first, the peer review way, how that it goes. I think we need to go deep into that one. How it's based on the reviewer. Editor is happy, then he will send reviewers. Reviewer will send the reports. If any kind of review has to be submitted, if it's done, then it's ultimately goal is reached. what we call the whole world will see. So these there are several ways. Now peer review, we have seen some journals where 4 reviewers are also used, and there's 4 reviewer give. It may be the case that out of the 4, 2 are against, 2 are say in favor, and then they give one more reviewer. So based on that decision, it may be accepted or it may be rejected. So these kind of things happen, and if you have 3, 2:1 is always required. And even if we have here the cases that editor also has his own vote, so he can, based on the quality of the paper, he can accept or reject. So these are the few things, figures and presentation we can look into, but I think I should stop here. So few things I want to conclude in a way that whatever we plan in terms of research, there's 2 ways. One is the planning of research also give us idea that how we should go with our publication, what kind of expectation in terms of output is there. And once we take that into consideration, we need to take, or we need to decide what kind of observation or what kind of analysis we need to done. And once that is completed, simply go focus to the result and the discussion part. And result and the discussion give us result. In fact, the discussion can be done later. Result is the one which gives us what are the key points what we obtain through our research. Based on these key points, we have material method with us. And once we have that one, we can go with the discussion that whole scientific community, how will be benefited with these results, and what has been done in the past, and how our results are matching or new. Are they able to give a specific answer to specific questions? Those will be explained here. And once this whole process completed, then we go to the introduction. So we need to keep in mind this need to be broad, and our introduction need to be broad. So once we taken into consideration, then we can reach up to the what we call as ultimately the research article. So these are the aim, and these are things I want to share with you. I hope I am able to do justice with the time given to me, and I hope you will be slightly benefited. And it may bring you, what we call as uh, to this stage. I think it is the key where I think we can look forward for that one. It is the stage where we should start always. The first rule of writing: sit and stay and read. Sit, stay, and read. These are the key focusing, objective one need to see. And once we do this, and with these 2 aspects, this we need to avoid.
Yes, sir.
These are the things.
So
Yeah.
thank you for such an attention-grabbing, enlightening, informative, and impactful talk. Now the session is open for discussion. Participant can unmute themselves and ask their query, if any.
Well, sir, I think that it was wonderful presentation, Dr. Sudhir Kumar Sarji, and I think that it was up to the mark. The people are, I can say, from my point of view, that questionless, I can say. The moment I can say I was going through the whole presentation, even after this, I came. I can say it was one of the presentations in my office. So that is what I joined 6:30, 6:36. So unfortunately, I missed it. I can say the very early lecture from your end, but the moment I got totally stagnant, I can say the moment I heard you, and it was up to the mark, sir, up to the mark. And no, I can say question. I can say it was brilliantly and nicely. I can say made clear from your end. So nice of you. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
So much.
So now I would like extend my hearty thanks our guest of honor, Professor J.K. Sharma, Vice Chancellor, Badi University, and guest speaker, Dr. Sudhir Kumar, Senior Scientist, Plant Phenomics Facility, IARI, who, despite of their busy schedule, has found time to grace the session. I thank our beloved Dean Professor Ashok Kumar, Associate Dean Professor R.S. Yadav for their generous support and guidance, and my heartfelt thanks to all the participants, faculty members, and students for their active participation. Last but not least, I thank all the good hearts who work behind the screen. So there is one important announcement for participants that tomorrow validity session is scheduled at 11 a.m. in the morning. So all participants are requested to join 10 minutes prior to avoid the last moment hustle. So once again, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, participant, for your keen attention.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, thank
Hello.
you very much. Thank you very much, Khushbu and all others. Dr. Anil,
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Sudhir, it was excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it was excellent one. And I think that all the participants, they must have enjoyed it and they must have learned the way you have
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
the ways you have explained that how important every aspect of writing is involved, particularly for the researcher. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Madam, would you like to please, I can say, give the detailed list of the tomorrow's I can schedule, please? If you are hearing me, Dr. Khushbu ji.
Yes, sir. So, sir, on 11, sharp 11, we will start the session, validity session, and there is award distribution. So, we'll
Okay.
be most likely to finish in within 1 hour. Like we have the guest of honor, guest speaker, so they will address the session, and after that, we
Okay.
will announce the name of the awardees, and then we'll end the session, sir.
Any formality, I can say the people who have registered, any formality from their end? Is there any?
No, sir.
Okay. So nice of you, madam. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ji.